What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be going over the wish list inside of the Noble Tavern and what heroes you guys should pre-select for each faction for 2022. So, before we get into what heroes you should select for 2022, we need to go over what the wish list actually is. When you use the wish list, you pre-select heroes from each faction that you guys would like to have if you get an elite summon inside of any of your summons in the Noble Tavern. That means any hero that you guys put on this list, if you get an elite summon, you will have a higher chance for it to be that hero that you guys selected. Definitely recommend it for those who are trying to progress in the game, as you don't want to get an elite summon and it be a random hero who's not meta and a hero that you're not looking for. Moving on, let's get into each faction and what we're using on our wish list for 2022. Starting off, we're going to go with the Lightbearers faction. We're going to start with Rosaline. She's a good support healer for your team. She also gives energy to all of her allies. Super good on the battlefield for sustainability, and I highly recommend her. Moving on to the next one, we have Gwyneth, who deals great AoE damage to half the battlefield, reduces accuracy, and sets enemies on fire. She also reduces the health recovery and has a chance of lightning arrows for increased damage and stun. After Gwyneth, we are using Rowan, who helps allies recover energy and also increase their attack rating and stuns enemies. He's able to lower the enemy accuracy and steals their energy as well, and sets up a health supply point for your teammates when they're falling below 50%, which is able to keep them in that battlefield longer for those tougher fights. Moving on from Rome, we're going to be pulling out Lucius the Tank. He reduces allies' damage from enemies for a short period of time from his ult. He has good AoE damage to enemy formations. He's also able to heal your lowest teammates' HP, and he's a very sustainable tank. Definitely recommend you guys put him on your wish list for 2022 because you will not be disappointed with his sustainability, and he is one of the best tanks the Lightbearer faction has to offer. Moving on from Lucius the Tank, we have Belinda, who deals massive AoE damage. You can make her your carry. She raises allies' attack ratings and crit ratings as well, so definitely put her on your wish list for 2022. If you guys have any other Lightbearers that you guys are running, let me know in the comments below, but this is just my recommendation on who you guys should kind of primarily focus out of your summons. Moving on to the Maulers, currently what we have on our list today is Warwick. He's good for boss battles, he targets weaker enemies in the formation, and he also removes all debuffs from himself as well. We have Brutus the Tank. He can heal himself, he has low immunity to magic damage, he also throws debuffs on enemies, causing allies to do more damage. The lower his health is, the stronger he becomes. He's also immune to any damage for a short period of time when the enemy falls. After Brutus, we have Skriat. He has good AoE damage, crowd control, he also increases allies' crit ratings. His Sandstorm debuffs the entire enemy team for a short period of time, reducing their accuracy. Can't really go wrong with him, he is just a good overall hero with good damage over time and debuffs over time, and crowd control, so I recommend you guys pull him out on your list for the Maulers. After Skriath, we pull out Titus, a hero with great AoE damage, good single target damage to the enemy that is in front of him, and he also deals damage over time. His crowd control for enemies is good, and he has high burst damage to low health enemies too. Aside from Titus, we're pulling out Sophia, who also has high AoE damage from her ult, good AoE damage from her regular skills as well, to weaken the whole enemy team's health. She can buff the ally in front of her to do extra damage for a short period of time. She also buffs the entire backline behind her's attack ratings while reducing the enemy's attack rating in the beginning of the match. Moving on from the Maulers, we currently got the next faction, Wilders, and first on our list we have Iran. He does massive AoE damage with a short damage over time and crowd control. He can be your carry, he stuns enemies as well while dealing high burst damage. Pretty much all of his skills are overpowered, and his AoE damage has great crowd control, and he can also ignore enemies with defense completely. Kind of broken at the moment, definitely a fan favorite. Moving on from the fan favorite Iran, we have Leica. She deals great AoE damage and control, good burst damage that also heals her, inspires allies increasing their haste and energy, and also reduces enemy defense and crit block rate. After Leica, we have Tassie, who also puts all enemies to sleep for a short period of time with AoE damage. She puts a fairy on the battlefield that deals damage over time or does heal over time for your teammates. She can also banish the highest attack rating for 4 seconds, making them unable to attack or be attacked. She also has a really cool move where she teleports behind the enemy and they cannot damage her, while also increasing the haste for her teammates. Moving on to the fan favorite Saurus. He creates clones who do additional damage and provides damage mitigation from shields to the main body. Great AoE damage and single target bursts with stun. He can reset timers on skills if he isn't interrupted, and he can also increase his own attack and defense ratings. After Swords, we pull out a fan favorite Namora. She heals all allies with her ultimate. She does an okay single target damage. She can also increase her healing efficiency the higher her passive is, and gradually heals the weakest member of the team, which keeps your team on the battlefield for a longer period of time. After the Wilders, we have the final faction, the Graveborn heroes, and currently what we're running for 2022 is Pharaoh. He has a good AoE damage from the backline with damage over time, has multiple AoE damage skills with damage over time as well. He's able to stun and terrify up to 3 enemies with damage over time too. And when an ally falls, he summons an evil spirit for a short duration for more damage as well. So he's pretty much your damage over time hero. He can pretty much attack everybody on the battlefield at once, and you can't go wrong with that, especially as you ascend him and get him stronger. Moving on from Pharaoh, we have Nara, who deals good burst damage that ignores single target defense. The lower the target's HP, the more damage she does. She also regains energy after defeating a single target, and she has the ability to stun a single target as well. Once she defeats the target in front of her, she has the ability to cross the battlefield and hit an opposing target with the damage over time and a stun. Every time an enemy deals damage to her as well, they also lose energy. Next on our list is Shamira. She has great damage over time. She can heal herself to a certain percentage of the damage dealt. She's very sustainable and can also be your carry, especially if you're playing on a free-to-play account. She steals enemies' HP for herself as well, and she has the ability to be able to stop enemy magic dealers from using their skills and also focuses them. The higher her health pool is as well, the stronger she becomes. Next on our list, we have Odin. He's able to drain all the energy from the enemy who has the highest energy pool. He's also able to make enemies not be able to recover energy for a short duration. He does decent damage to the target in front of him. He's able to move the enemy with the highest health to the enemy with the lowest health on the enemy formation. He has good crowd control. Odin grows stronger the more fiend points he has. The longer he's on the battlefield, the more fiend points he stacks, giving him more stuns and more damage to the enemy. To finish off today's list, guys, we have Thorn, a tank that takes the enemy's damage and throws it back at him. He's also immune to crowd control effects for a short duration and receives less damage. He does decent single target damage to the enemy in front of him, and he's able to resurrect with over 60% HP. The higher you level him up, you can get that up to 75%. And at the beginning of the battle, he automatically does damage to enemies that are the weakest on their lineup. Highly recommend you guys use him. He can also be your carry as well, and one of the best tanks for the Graveborn faction. This concludes the 2022 Noble Tavern wish list. If you guys have any other heroes that you put on your wish list for 2022 inside of these factions, drop them in the comments below, especially those who have been playing for a while. I'd love to see your guys' lineups and what you guys recommend for meta for this year. Guys, as always, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.